Hello everybody and welcome to the first installment of the new Elden Ring Boss Breakdown series, otherwise known as Bosses Made Easy. In this series I will go over each of the main bosses need to progress to the end of the game, as well as all of the main remembrance dropping bosses such as... Melania. Well, our first boss up on the list is the bane of every new player's existence, Margit the Fell Omen. Now, Margit is a boss whose difficulty varies depending on the amount of exploration the player does in the beginning and side areas. Odds are, if you're like me, you basically would have just followed the grace points where they're pointing all the way up to what you didn't know at the time was the Castle of Pain with the world's worst or best gatekeeper. But let's break down how to beat him, what his weaknesses are, and what you can do to fell this omen. Margit has quite a few tools up his sleeve that he will use to punish you. But in Phase 1, he only utilizes his cane, his tail occasionally, and his dagger. Now, throughout the entire fight, Margit has very odd timings for his attack. He sometimes attacks slow, with a overhand slam or a leaping attack, and sometimes attacks fast, with rapid cane strikes, sometimes combining the dagger into a brutal 3-hit combo, if you're not able to get away in time. If you decide to get your distance and heal, you better watch out for his dagger, which he can throw too in quick succession at you, and he always seems to do that the moment you press the heal button. But all in all, it's not terribly difficult. Just watch out for his cane and dagger combo, wait for your openings, and he will decide to bring the hammer down, literally, in Phase 2. Now, Phase 2 begins when Margit is around 60% health. And he always starts off this phase by brandishing a spirit hammer and doing a long-range lunge attack. This is great if you can dodge it, because you can punish heavily after his hammer hits the ground. Now, in Phase 2, however, he becomes considerably more dangerous, and adds 2 more additional tools to his arsenal. His spirit hammer, which you got a taste of at the beginning of Phase 2, and a spirit short sword, which he can use to combo in attacks of up to 3 to 4 hits, which devastate your health. The main things to watch out for in this phase are his sword and cane combo, his cane and hammer swipe, and his overall tendency to chain together multiple weapons in a long-winded attack, making you question where the hell stamina.exe is gonna run its course. By far, this is Margit at his most fearsome, but keep your eye out for openings and time it correctly, and you will defeat him. Margit is a boss who has very high poise further early in the game, making it difficult to stagger unless you're using spirits or a summon to keep the pressure on him and keep that gauge full. However, he is also parryable, but it takes 2 successful parries to be able to get off your riposte. For melee builds, I do recommend this, as there's quite a few bosses upcoming who need to be parried twice in a row for the riposte to be pulled off, and this guy can be considered decent practice due to his odd swipes and hard to tell timings. Now, it is also technically possible to backstab him, but I found this quite difficult to pull off and not really worth trying because the trade-off is not usually in your favor. One unique item you can use if explored enough is the item Margit's Shackle, sold by Patches in the Murkwater Cave after defeating him in combat, which binds Margit to the ground, allowing a few free hits. But, however, keep in mind, this item will not work in Phase 2, so if you're going to use it, make sure you use it twice in the first phase to get maximum usage. As for status effects, Margit can be bled, can be affected by frostbite, poison, and even scarlet rot if you have some cheeky arrows or consumables. Now, it's also worth noting that he takes slightly more damage from slashing weapons, about 10% if I remember correctly, but not 100% necessary. Overall, it won't really make the world of difference, so don't switch your build to slashing just for that case. Now, as for resistances, he is very resistant to holy magic, and he is completely immune to Deathblight and Sleep. But anything else is fair game. In Phase 1, the best attacks to look out for when you've decided it's your turn to do the damage are his jumping cane attack and his long winding overhead attack. Now, that's not to be said that every other attack can't be dodged through and have some damage done as well, but they don't offer you quite as much downtime to completely wail on him and possibly get a bleed or a heavy attack out. Now, in Phase 2, despite him being more dangerous, Margit actually gives us a few more openings. In addition to the other attacks from Phase 1, he also gives you some opportunities to get some hits in after his line-winding Cane Rush, his jumping Hammer Slam, and the 4-hit combo utilizing his sword and his cane. Now, assuming you're close to him when it finishes, because I like to get the hell out of there. As for builds, personally, I would recommend at least 20 Vigor for this fight. Now, I know it may seem like a lot, but you can very quickly melt your health, and it just adds a bit more stability to your character so that if you do get caught in the 4-hit combo, fight's not over. If you're a melee build, try to use the Ashes of War or status effects on him to help speed up his demise. Bleed is a very potent option in this game, and the Ash of War Determination, found early in the game, can be used on heavy weapons, or whatever else you want to put it on, for greatly boosted damage on a single attack. Now, a good stable shield will also help a bit, as you can tank his combos and get a few licks in on your own, but keep in mind your stamina might not be able to handle it all. For caster, however, try to maintain your distance, keep an eye out for his dagger throws, and only use your slow casting spells when it's very clear you can pull them off. At this part of the game, Glintstone Pebble, or something quick casting of the sort, is your friend, but personally I find Glintstone Pebble is the best damage to FP ratio spell that you could use. You can summon and use ashes to help divert the boss's attention, significantly reducing the difficulty of this fight since he won't always be aggroed on you. However, if you're a masochist like myself, you will jump in head first and say, "You're mine, not anyone else's." Now, with all that out of the way, I hope I have been able to make this boss just a bit easier. And now that you know everything you need to know about this guy, go out there and crush him. Next up will be the boss breakdown of Godrick the Grafted, so stay tuned, leave a like if you did, leave one if you didn't, and don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date on all the future Elden Ring content I have planned, as there will be a lot of content from this point forward. Thanks for stopping by, see you in the next one, take care.